Regardless of what's going on in the world around you, every hooper should be able to work out without leaving their home. Getting on the court or in the weight room is always ideal, but you can elevate your game, your athleticism, without much space or equipment at all. So we're going to teach you how you can do it. Let's run it. Alright, so let's start out with the warm-up you can do with literally 10 square feet of space. You want to do this before any workouts you take from this video. It doesn't have to be outside, just make sure you're preparing your body, especially if you've been chilling on the couch for hours. Alright, so now for this jump series. You can implement this at any point of the workout, but I'd suggest doing it right after the warm-up. Studies have actually shown that plyometrics right after dynamic warm-ups not only really get your central nervous system going for the following parts of the workout, but can work to reduce injuries by activating proprioceptors and build neuromuscular control that will help prevent your body from falling into vulnerable positions. All of these are very high intensity though and require a base of strength. So if you've never done plyos before, I'd suggest with starting out with these more extensive plyos. See how they're lower intensity, you're not going all out. And this will help build that base before you progress. Alright, so for agility, we'll start out with some line drills. Just like ladder drills, I always say they're not great for force production, but they're good to rev up the central nervous system and get your feet moving in creative ways when you're not able to get onto the court. Freestyle agility is another great way to get creative and start putting force into the ground. Really challenge yourself to use new movement patterns. And then we got this acceleration series. Everything we do here is just a quick acceleration, 5 to 10 yards max. All these starts are basketball specific, so we're working on that first step and then the next couple of powerful strides. Now for ball handling. This is where you're really going to make your money when you can't get onto a court. You have no excuse at all not to be working on all aspects of your ball control. Creativity, different moves, etc. We actually have a ball control program that's almost fully done without a hoop, and I put that in the description. Make sure you're getting some freestyle drills in too, so you're able to keep working on that creativity even when you're not hooping. Alright, so what can you do in the house to get stronger and elevate your game? Obviously a weight room is much more optimal, there's no denying that. But we gotta work with what we got, right? So it pretty much comes down to finding heavy stuff to lift and finding creative ways to lift it. Water jugs, a backpack with books, etc. All of these things have variations too. See how here I'm doing some explosive lunges. But I can also slow it down on the eccentric and hold at the bottom. Creativity and variation is key. Also, most of these are single leg unilateral exercises. This is mostly because it's easier to overload one leg with limited weight, but it's also very specific to basketball. We often neglect single leg work in the weight room as hoopers, so this is a fantastic time to address that. I'm not going to give you a specific program, because everyone's needs and resources are so different, but take these exercises and use them creatively. I'll put some sample ones together too, so stay on the lookout for those. For upper body, this is the perfect time to really focus on hypertrophy, or gaining muscle. Everything will naturally be higher reps because of the lack of heavier weights. So we're going to get a lot of volume, and make sure you're getting in a session 2 to 3 times a week, depending on how experienced you are. Make sure to cover every muscle group, and don't just pump out push-ups all day. That'll end up creating imbalances, and if anything's true about the myth of upper body work messing up your jumper, it can definitely mess with it if you create imbalances by doing it the wrong way. Core is probably the easiest thing to knock out in terms of strength. There's a ton you can do because it doesn't require much weight, but also make sure you're including some exercises with resistance like you see me doing with the water jug. A lot of people solely do very high reps with core exercises like crunches and planks, but it's important that we train these like every other muscle. Another big part of this is stability core exercises like you see here. Being able to maintain that stable trunk while the rest of our body moves around it. And then some high velocity exercises with water jugs and other heavier objects. Again, get creative. There's so much more outside of this that you can do. This is also the perfect time to develop qualities that will help you reduce injuries. There's really no excuse. Getting strong will help with this too, but most of it requires no weight or equipment at all. Like here, you're doing depth drops, working on absorbing force, and becoming a more robust athlete. It's also a great time to strengthen the ankle and work on other areas that we commonly neglect. Plus, if you have tendonitis, this is a great time to not only rest, but include isometric variations of any of the lower body exercises to build that tendon strength. And then finally is working on and developing a strong, active glute complex. This is a great series to make sure your glute max and glute med are strong enough to keep your knee out of vulnerable positions. Alright, so just a quick speed round on nutrition. If you don't have much access to food outside the house, just make sure you're checking a few things off the checklist. First, take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by 20. That's very roughly how many calories you'll need to take in, providing that you're getting a workout in daily. Next, take your body weight in pounds and multiply it by 0.7. That's the minimum amount of protein per day in grams that you'll need to maintain and gain muscle. Keep in mind that's the minimum though. Also, it's tempting to eat processed foods, it's easy. But the more food that doesn't come in a package, the better. Get as much color in your diet as possible. And no, Fruit Loops don't count as color for this purpose. Vegetables, fruits, good source of proteins, etc. are key. These will also help you remain healthy while supporting those gains. And then the last thing I'll say is really consider investing in equipment. Just a few water jugs, a band or two, maybe a pair of dumbbells or a pull-up bar. Literally all of that will be less than $50. Invest in yourself. It'll pay off in the future, I promise. Thank you for watching. No matter what the circumstances are, get your work in. There's no excuses. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at ByAnyMeansBasketball and subscribe for even more content. Everybody be safe.